Welcome back to Max Out, everybody. Today is going to be incredible. I got to be honest with you. I've been in a lot of places. I get a chance to travel to some of the most beautiful places in the world, thank God. But I am sitting in one of the most overwhelming buildings I have ever been in my life. I am surrounded by the most unbelievable car collection I have ever seen in my life. No, it's a fact. You know about exotic car collection. I am telling you, it's overwhelming for me. And the cool thing about today is we're going to talk, because you have your dreams too. This is one of this man's dreams. We're going to talk today about tactical steps of how you achieve the picture of your dreams in your life. And imagine this, I'm surrounded by Bugattis and McLarens and all kinds of other cars here. And the gentleman to my left ended up coming here from Iran when he was a little boy. This is a man who was homeless for a while in his life. This is somebody who went from Kmart to this someday. And so today's gonna be an unbelievable story. This man is sort of legendary on Instagram, but he doesn't do a lot of these programs. And so you get to get into the brain and the story of the great Manny Khoshbin today. So thanks for being here, brother.
My pleasure, brother.
This is so cool. I mean, to be honest with you, we've been here a long time already because I couldn't get ready to sit down and do the show because I was overwhelmed by the cars. So let's start out a little bit, because I think most of my audience, now that they're seeing this scene here and see you, they're like, I've seen that guy before. But I don't know that they know a lot about you and how you got here. And it's a great story. So talk a little bit. Why don't we pick it up about when you were a teenager and how you even ended up in this country. Tell them that story a little bit.
So I'm from Iran. When you reach age 14 in Iran, the army kind of forces you, to go in service. And most kids that go to service, they get pushed on the mines because they want to save their tanks. At least this is how it used to be a long time ago. So my dad has 6 brothers, and 4 of them are crippled, and 2 of them passed away from being injured in the war.
No kidding.
So when it was getting close to my 14th birthday, my dad suddenly decided to drop everything and flee Iran.
Wow. And
with 3 of my siblings and my parents, obviously 6 of us, it was a super brave thing for him to do. I mean, I don't know if I could have the balls to do that.
I don't either. One of the reasons too, when people hear these immigration stories too, one of the things that I think people don't know, and I want you to talk about this a little bit too, is oftentimes men like your father have really great careers back home, but their degrees or things like that don't necessarily translate when they come to the United States as well. So they take massive steps backwards financially, don't they? Did that happen with your dad?
100%. Yeah. So my dad was a senior cost accountant for the oil company.
Wow.
And then when the government, the regime changed, he didn't elect the new government. So he moved out of the capital city, which was Tehran, and we moved to a small city named Sabe. And he opened a small little hardware store and bought a house. So middle class lifestyle. We weren't rich by any means, but he was living comfortably until I got close to my 14th birthday, which he decided to hand everything to his older brother and flee the country. We went to Turkey, and my dad told his brother, sell everything, send me the money, but complications happened that never happened, So
he did all this for you?
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing. And I think that's obviously what's been my driver for success. I've always been carrying the burden, that everybody suffered because of me. And that really turned me into a man early on. At age 14, I was like, I had a lot of, guilt and pressure on me. And when we arrived here, it wasn't easy, obviously. We had a little over $2,000. My dad was promised a job at a gas station by a friend. And when we arrived at their house, after 2 nights, the husband and wife got in a fight and they asked us to leave.
Whoa.
So at this point, and you have to realize my sister was 6 months old.
Oh my gosh.
So he's like an infant, And then I was 14, my brother was 12, and my sister is 1 year older, she was 15. Man. So we weren't we were kids, So it was pretty tough. So we went to a motel, and then my dad called his buddy, said, this is not right. I counted on this job to come here, and now that we don't have a house and I don't have my job either. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, you left me, out cold. So he drove us to his gas station. He used to sell used cars off of his lot.
Yep.
So my dad bought a 1972 Datsun station wagon, and that became our house for a while.
It became your house for a while.
Yes. Yeah.
So I want to just say, I want everybody to be picturing this, because it's so cool when we end up getting to where you've arrived to, but where you come from. So your dad leaves Iran, you end up going to Turkey, you come here, he's got a job and a place to live. 2 days later, he has neither.
Yep.
Right? And you end up then living in the Datsun as a family, all these people that you just described?
Yes.
Oh
yes,
my
because my
gosh.
dad realized if we stay at the motel, we're gonna run out of money.
Oh my God.
So my dad's like, okay, this is not gonna, he's an accountant. He can do the math.
Right, you can do the math. Wow.
It's like, so yeah, that was a, dark period of my life, but I think I turned all that into motivation, Everything that's happened to me, I've had lots of my, down points in life, and you gotta either, let it break you or make you. Yeah, so 1985 is when we arrived here, and we used to park the 1972 station wagon in that shopping center because, we didn't want to drive around. So that's where we drive, and we used to buy bananas every day. That was our source of food because it was the cheapest source of food.
Incredible.
And my dad used to walk over and get the newspaper every day, look for the help wanted section to look for a job. After a few weeks, he was able to secure a job not far away as an accountant. And then after 2 weeks after that, he got his first paycheck. We were able to secure an apartment and moved into a 2-bedroom apartment in Costa Mesa.
In Costa Mesa. So that entire family was in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yes.
It's incredible, brother. I just love it. So one thing I want to talk about today as we start to transition into the story, everyone, is you and I were talking about this off camera. Not everything you did worked. The incredible thing is also to have done well in sales as part of your career with the deficiency of the language barrier is another incredible thing.
We moved to the 2-bedroom apartment, and then every time I took the trash out, I realized people leave stuff by the trash can. I'm like, why is this thing next to a dumpster? It's a nice chair and a table or a toaster. So I figured, hey, they probably bought a new one, they don't want it. So I would haul those back to my patio,
You're kidding me.
No. And then by the weekend, we've had a full patio worth of furniture, and we got a swap meet. We rented a space at swap meet across the street, which was Orange Coast College. And we started with 1 space, and then it turned out to be 3 spaces. I expanded my business. I was 14.
At 14?
Yeah. So I used to get up early in the morning, like 4 in the morning, and go to all the dumpsters and pick up stuff. I started with my own apartment complex where we used to rent.
Yeah.
And then I realized, hey, why don't we go over there, walk over to the next complex, and then hey, I was making $1,000 a month at 14 to 16 because I didn't have a work permit yet. So that was my first business. Picking it's cost of goods is free, right? So you pick up stuff and then sell at swap meet. The space, I think, was $10 a space to rent, so it's nothing.
I think some successful people do a lot of things well unconsciously. And it's not until you make them talk about themselves, even one of the things I love about you is your humility and how humble you are.
Thank you.
It's true, because for a guy who's got all this showy stuff, as a person, he's incredibly humble, tons of humility. And we're both that way in the sense that we're both even a little bit introverted too, right? It's interesting. We drive in these cars where people notice us, but privately we're both pretty introverted guys. Yeah. But you do things well that you take for granted. Not every 14-year-old was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and was thinking about being an entrepreneur by then. So this is the journey. These are the thoughts of somebody who becomes successful. Then what happened? Was it after that you got the job at Kmart? Was it somewhere around that time?
Yes, so my first legal job was Kmart. I was pushing shopping carts, cleaning the floors. I was a stock boy number 407. I never forget.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I was pushing shopping carts. So I excelled at it so well, I got promoted to assistant manager of sporting goods after under a year. But even then, I knew that's a stepping stone for me. I don't want to be working at Kmart. I want to make lots of money. I had a vision, a much bigger vision. But I realized I got to start somewhere. I got to learn the language. I still didn't speak fluent English. So I was always getting the newspaper, just like my dad did early on, looking for better, opportunities. So I found this company, WWI, Worldwide Industries. It says earn, $1,000 a week. I'm like, wow, I'm only making $100 a week. That's 10 times, Right. So I called them, and it was a multi-level marketing sales, and it was a door-to-door sales. You sell nuts. Sometimes, they buy closeouts like knife sets. Yeah. And at the time they were selling nuts, So I went and I quit my job at Kmart. I went working for WWI, and after 3 months I became their top salesman. And one day I'm shopping with my dad at Price Club. Back then it was in Costco, Price Club, and I did a quick math. I'm like, hey, these cashews are 3 pounds for $3. That's $1 a pound. These guys are selling it to me for $2.50 a pound. So I have all my customers. Why do I need these guys? So I immediately started looking for a 8-inch polyester bag and a sealer.
Okay.
You know, and I within a week I closed. I quit my job there and I went to business for myself, selling nuts.
You basically made your own one that you were already a member of.
Exactly. Yeah. So my company was called Unlimited Wholesale Products, and I was 18 at the time.
Man.
Now I'm 18. So I'm still in high school, finishing my high school. I was driving a 1983 Honda Accord with a nice boombox in the back.
It was always about the car, even back then.
I love cars, you know. So I started making good money. I used to go to payphones and make $1,000 a week, and then you tear your phone number in the bottom. So I had 4 employees by the time I was 18 and a half, close to 19, making $4 or $5 grand a month. I had a small little office in Stanton in Orange County. And then one day I was waiting for my hamburger and I had a basket of my nuts, right by me. And I said, hey, let me try to sell some nuts while I wait for my hamburger.
Right.
So I pitched this guy and he bought 3 bags for $10. And then he happened to be the health inspector for Orange County Health Department. So he was at my doorstep the next morning. Goes, hey, I checked my files. We don't see a health permit. I'm like, what health permit? I don't know. You need a health permit?
Right.
I don't know what he's talking about. I thought he was so happy he wants to come buy a box. So he gave me a big packet, all the requirement. I took it home. Me and my dad read it. My dad says, oh, this office is not going to qualify. It needs a lot of money. You got to change the paint, carpet. It needs to be a food facility. So I was forced to close my business down. And by then I had $20,000 saved.
Wow.
Yeah, I was 19 at the time, and my dad's friend, he was a broker selling gas stations and businesses, and he goes, you guys could buy a gas station with the SBA loan, 10% down. And I don't know what he was doing, but he was obviously a fraud because all my money was gone. I had to write a check for loan processing, this, that. My loan never came together and I lost all my money.
You lost everything. Yep.
The only good thing came out of it, the $3,500 out of the 20 grand I put up in that savings that I had to spend was for Mobile Oil Corporation. I went to Rancho Cucamonga for 2 weeks. So I became a mobile dealer. I have that plaque.
Without the gas station.
Without the gas station,
right?
Yeah.
So you got the plaque out of it. So it was a $20,000 plaque.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was super depressed. I'm back to square one. I got no money and I was super depressed. So one of the shops I used to sell nuts to, it was in Montebello. It was a Winston tire shop.
Okay.
And this guy, Ruben Padilla, was the manager. He loved me. He used to buy a lot of cashews from me. So anyway, I called him and said, Ruben, I lost all my money. I lost my nut business. I had to they shot me down. This guy conned me, took all my money.
Sheesh.
And then he goes, I'll give you a job. So he made me assistant manager. So I started working for Winston Tire. I used to drive from Orange County to Montebello every day, get up 5 in the morning. There's a lot of traffic.
Tons of traffic, everybody that doesn't live here.
Yeah. So I did that for 2 years. That store became one of the top sales out of 170 stores Winston Tire had. And they were going to promote me to a manager and move me to a location that was doing poorly. But I'm like, I don't want to be back to Kmart. I don't want to be a manager and work for somebody else. And after that, I was just searching for more successful friends.
Yes.
Because I want to get out of the circle.
So here's a key. You were searching for more successful friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
I met this guy. He's driving a Porsche Cabriolet, wearing a Brioni suit. I'm like, whoa, what does that guy do?
Yeah.
I gotta find out what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I found out he has a mortgage company and a real estate company. And we had a mutual friend. And I said, hey, I want to get out of Winston Tires. And he goes, hey, I love your drive. You got fire in you. I want to hire you as a loan processor. So I worked for him for 6 months. I learned everything in loan business. And I found a broker to partner up with because you have to be a broker to open your own. So after 7 or 8 months, I opened my mortgage company.
Okay, stay in here for a second. Yeah. I want to go back just for a second. I want to stay right in here because there's lessons I want to point out. The first one is by the time this guy is 22 or 23 years old, I want you to think about this. From the swap meet business, right, to the nut selling business, to your own business in the nut selling business. Just think through all of this, you guys, to getting scammed and losing. I want you to see yourself in this story on the gas station, to working at the tire store, to then working in the mortgage business, to then becoming an entrepreneur in the mortgage business. So there's some success leaves clues. Number one, he's relentless and resilient. No matter what it was, no matter who hurt him, he's constantly trying to move up in the world, everybody. There's no excuse, right? There's no story. It doesn't matter that you got scammed. It doesn't matter your boss isn't any good. He's acquiring skills. He's working his way up in the world through every single one of these steps, and he didn't let these letdowns, they hurt. He's not telling you about when he went home with the 20 grand getting stolen and was crying and upset, but when he came back, right? So, but the other thing for those of you that have jobs, he was constantly looking for how to own what he was doing.
Then I started doing day trading. I turned that to $600-some thousand. I took the money out September 1999. All my friends told me, you're crazy. You know, they were making a couple of $1 million on AOL stock alone, some of my friends, because that split 3-4 times. And I took the money, I left 80 grand in there. I took $600,000 out. I went and bought 2 homes and a shopping center with it. And guess who helped me? Mr. Williams. I called Mr. Williams, my landlord, and he put me in touch with his broker. He goes, help this young man and show him what you would show me to buy. And then I started my real estate investments.
That was the beginning. It's interesting, man. Life is so interesting because in hindsight, everything happens for us, not to us.
Correct,
all of our failures, as long as you believe that, right? And so it's incredible to me to think, it's ironic, but the swap meet business that stopped, that turns into, you know, all these other things, from the nut business to the newspaper business to the tires to the mortgages to the gas station to the 79-cent store, all of that led you to Williams, which leads you to this breakthrough in your life. It's like, that's why you have to keep driving down the road of your life, everybody, because there's the point where it all adds up. And then when you win, I have mine too, I go, that was why it all happened for me.
Exactly. And people call that luck. It's no luck. You know, I mean, I never give up. I keep trying. And if you just take action, and, you know, I made a recent post on my Instagram saying, if you can't figure out what you want to do in life, don't worry about it. Just do what's in front of you right now, right?
Yes.
And then, but with the vision of this is a stepping stone, and always be on the lookout for a better opportunity. So just be active, you know, because if you're sitting around constantly asking people, oh, you know, what's the next business? Oh, if this business is bad, I'm gonna wait for this guy to come from Korea. He may have a better business for me. And you're just sitting around doing nothing. You're idling. If you're idling, you're not going nowhere. Trust me.
Would you tell them what your rule was for buying the first Bugatti? Like what you had to have in your possession before you would buy one? Do you remember talking about that before?
Yeah, I told myself I would only buy an expensive car. It wasn't a Bugatti. You know, if I could buy 10 of them cash, I would go buy one. You know, but my
well, so once you could buy 10 cash, if you could buy 10 of them cash, then you'd buy one.
Yes, but my golden rule was I would never spend a principal. You know, I invested in real estate, and I had well over $20 million in real estate when I bought my first supercar, which was 2005. I bought an F40, Ferrari F40 for $325,000. Of course, I paid cash for it.
When you were like 23, 24, if you wouldn't mind showing them this, I think people right now, you're going to begin to see what having a real dream and a real plan looks like, and how life is incredible. So I know a lot of you think, yeah, I got plans and visions. I always tell people, how specific are you? Is it written down? How often do you review it? So
that's the most important thing.
Can we please, because this is going to be, unbelievably revealing for people. Show them a little bit about what this is here.
Yeah, so this was my vision, my dream book or vision board, if you want to call it. I drew this in 1994 or 95, and back then I was 23 years old.
So 1994-ish, you're 24 years old, roughly.
Yes, 23.
Okay, 23 years old. This is what he drove out at his vision. So show him, just describe a little bit, because there's audio listening to this as well.
Sure.
Right? Sure.
So it's a big mansion with lots of palm trees. And it's got 4-car garage. There's a Mercedes parked in there, Lexus, a Ferrari, and a Diablo Lamborghini.
A Lambo. Unbelievable, right?
And back then I still dreamed of cars, you know, expensive cars. But the funny thing is, my house now is double lot. It has, I think, 10 or 12 palm trees. King palm tree is huge. And it has a huge pool in the backyard like this.
You guys.
And it has a staircase, I'm not kidding you, identical to this. It's like, I get goosebumps.
I do too. This is almost spooky, and we're feeding in footage on YouTube that you all can see his home. But he drew this as a young man when he had no money. This is during the phase that you just heard him describe earlier with all these setbacks. He's still dreaming, he's still envisioning. This is unbelievable to me how much it looks like your life.
Yeah, so I used to write my profit loss statement, how much I owe on credit cards, how much my store is doing. This is when I owned the supermarket. And this is October 1994, so I was 23 years old.
My gosh.
And aside from business, write financial plans. I even
Detailed financial notes here, guys.
I even drew my future wife.
Look at this.
So this was 1995.
You guys.
I drew this, and doesn't this look like my wife?
It looks like Layla. It looks like Layla. So you guys, we're putting a picture up on the screen right now. Those of you listening to audio, there's a woman he sketched here that if she were missing right now, this would be the sketch they'd use to find her. It's unbelievable how identical it is. His life he drew up and over. He was on he's only done a couple shows. He was on this show recently and he talked about this. People were like, you didn't really have these plans.
Yeah, so I spent 2 hours looking for it because it really bothered me. A lot of people commented, oh yeah, you made up all this story about the picture. Where's the picture? I'm like, I'm gonna go find it.
There's the picture. So you guys, these are the things successful people do. Like, I'm weird. Like, to this day, I'm on my plane, or before that when I didn't have a plane, I love sketching out dreams. I love writing out, I call them possibility projections.
Yep.
What's possible? And
You're programming yourself. You're programming yourself. Your subconscious is working in the back, and then a few years later, maybe 10 years later, you're like, you have that same thing. But I didn't even know I drew this picture of this woman.
Yeah.
Until I found this book. I'd forgotten.
See,
isn't that funny?
You're on another key. You're going to point to he's pointing to his head, by the way, about the unconscious, right? So I have the same experience. I just want to say this to you. It's incredible to me how many of the things I dreamed about and messaged to myself
and became reality.
And that by like with you, but then there was a point where I had forgotten about them, but it was in that unconscious mind, my subconscious. So while I consciously forgot about it, my subconscious and unconscious didn't, and I worked towards materializing these things. And I've done the same thing. I've looked back at plans. I'm like, whoa, I forgot I even wanted that. Isn't that an amazing feeling?